Hello and welcome. I'm joined by Mr. R. Chandrashekar, President of Nasscom. Mr. Chandrashekar, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
So, we're all here to talk about the digital future, right? The digital future means a lot of things to a lot of people, including, of course, consumers who are pushing and maybe driving this change. To what extent is Indian IT industry, as you now see today, prepared for this change, which is really to integrate with and build for this digital future? And to what extent does it really have to work to fill all the gaps, including skills, knowledge, capability, focus, and so on?
Yeah, I think that the Indian IT industry is very enthused and excited by the whole idea of digital India. At the same time, I think it has to be said that there is also a certain wariness in engaging because of certain experiences in the past. In terms of capability, I think the capability and preparedness is extremely high, because we need to keep in mind that this is an industry which has delivered the same value all across the globe in very different geographies and very different environments. So the ability to deliver it is not in doubt. Yes, there may be a need to ramp up a little more those capabilities, but it's a question of quantity, not quality, which is a very different and doable proposition. After all, this industry has demonstrated its ability to ramp up very quickly, whatever may be the kind of need, and in any case these needs keep changing.
Sure.
So from any which way you look at it, the industry ability and capability is there, the readiness and willingness in principle is there, but there are some of these serious roadblocks which need to be addressed, and they are not insurmountable. They need certain fixes, but I think in a focused manner. The second thing is, many of these projects deliver services to citizens. The government wants it, the industry is capable and ready to provide it, and the citizens badly need it, and they are willing to pay for it, and all of this is fully viable on its own. So where is the problem? Why is it not happening? And the catch is in the fact that whatever services are provided and whatever service costs are collected does not flow to the people who provided that service. It flows into the government and then goes through a very tortuous process before it can be released, and in many cases it doesn't happen at all.
Right. So what about the Indian IT looking global, right? So a big opportunity is also going to come or is coming in the way companies or corporations worldwide are re-gearing themselves for the new consumer.
Right.
And that's the SMAC approach, or there's several such terms. So what's your sense? Are you getting, do you feel that Indian IT is as up to the task as it was, let's say, for the previous decade of growth, or will this be a tougher one?
Well, actually, the challenge globally is that nobody is prepared for this completely. If anybody says we are completely prepared, he is probably not being perfectly accurate, because the very requirements in terms of capability have changed so rapidly and are changing so rapidly. You need to understand technology, you need to understand in the direction in which technology is moving. Of course, you need to know your business, and you need to predict how your business will look like in the future, and then you need to work out how you will transform the way you carry out and conduct your business today and the way you interact with your customers today into how you will do so in the future. And all of this has to then be translated into a seamless experience for customers who are coming in through internet, through mobile, through all kinds of other different channels. So as was talked about by many of the speakers in this event, this requires both business leadership and digital, digital adoption. And unless both are there, this whole transition can be catastrophic. So I think that is really the area into which the Indian industry is moving, and today it's regarded as a reliable partner in making this transition happen, because in the course of whatever services were provided in the past, IT and IT related services, a lot of relationships have got built up and an understanding of the business has been built up. So from that point on, to extrapolate it to figuring out how the business can be re-engineered or transformed and how it can be made to deliver greater business value is something which they are well positioned to do. But it does require a further enhancement of the capabilities of the companies. That's exactly the path which the companies are on today.
So, Nasscom has been doing a lot of work, for instance, in trying to bring digitization and technology leadership in new areas like healthcare, and you have a specific initiative there. How are you seeing the progress of that, and what more would you be adding going forward to sort of take IT into new areas that perhaps have more and greater applications for the larger country?
Yeah, I think healthcare is an excellent example of how the application of modern technology, especially the so-called disruptive technologies of social media, mobile, cloud and analytics, can completely transform the way a certain activity is performed. And in healthcare, because we have such acute problems in delivering quality healthcare in remote areas, in rural areas, and what to talk of all of those areas, even in urban areas, sometimes it's a challenge. So, the application of technology not only makes it possible, but makes it so much more convenient and easy. And in a country like India, it has to also be made affordable. So, all of these I think do become possible to a significant extent by applying technology, because you no longer have to take the highest caliber quality doctors into a remote area to service that patient, because it just doesn't happen. We've seen it for decades. But now you can you don't even have to bring the patient to the doctor. You can actually get both to meet from wherever they are, and a large part of the services can be provided, but the whole chain will look different. Even if the doctor is not at that location, there has to be some ecosystem there which is
interacts with the patient,
which is able to, for example, use the devices, get the health, the vitals signs measured, related to the doctor, translate it into advice, tell the patient what needs to be done. So, that's a very different ecosystem from the one which we are used to currently. All of this takes time. So, it's not just a question of the ICT alone, but building this whole ecosystem. There are many pieces to that, and our effort in this initiative has been to work on some of the most critical pieces, like the health information highway, getting the health records to be portable so that people actually have all of their health records maintained on the cloud in a portable manner, looking at how, for example, remote healthcare can be provided, looking at how healthcare capabilities can be built up, because we need to build a much larger army of people, nurses and paramedics and so on, in addition to the doctors. So, all of this is being looked at. So, there are 3 or 4 such initiatives which have been looked at. Now, one thing which emerges from these efforts so far is that we are not simply looking at applying existing technologies, including the latest technologies. We will also need to innovate, both in terms of the solutions and applications and the business models which I was explaining, as well as in terms of the actual devices. If you have a device which costs $200, can we have a device which does 90% of that for $10? Not can we have a device which can do 3 times what it does. So, it's a wholly different price performance model, and these kinds of innovation, which are loosely termed as frugal innovation, which is very different from the so-called relevant technology or low-level technology. In fact, it's the most sophisticated technology. And taking advantage of emerging trends like IoT and so on and so forth.
And that's another area where you will see a lot of innovation.
Exactly.
I mean, the confluence of telecom and technology.
Exactly. So, all of these will lead to these kind of products. And by the way, this also falls entirely within the province of the Make in India initiative. So, if we are to look at something like Make in India, for example, these are the areas we should be looking at, because simply chasing manufacturing as an objective in the manner in which it was possible 20 years or 30 years ago, and where China then rose to the top of the whole pyramid, is not possible today because the nature of manufacturing has changed. It's no longer so labor intensive, and we therefore need to combine it with this kind of innovation, and our core strength, which is in IT, including design and engineering, which happen to be today the fastest growing segment in the IT industry. So we should build our competitive strategies around whatever are our core strengths.
Right. So, last question. So, what are you one thing that you are looking out for or looking forward to in the coming year, which you are personally excited about?
I would be looking forward to a couple of things. Number one is that the government coming up with innovative ways of transforming the manner in which citizen services are provided by bringing in the private sector in a much more proactive way. As I said, by enabling them to provide the services and receive the revenues directly as opposed to indirectly, a sort of direct benefits transfer of a different kind to the provider of the service. The second is an even more proactive approach in terms of identifying the areas where government need not even bid out a project, or it is something which falls outside the purview of the government, and how all the roadblocks to that can be removed. We have seen how e-commerce has swept the country, at least the urban areas, in a short period of time. What do we need to do to spread it to the rural areas? And what are the roadblocks? We have seen lots of them in areas like taxation, where there are all kinds of ambiguities and instances of states levying taxes which make a electronic transaction more subject to tax or subject to higher tax than if you carried it out physically. All of these are unintended, or in some cases maybe even intended, roadblocks to the rush towards digitization. And a digital economy would be a far more efficient economy, and it would be far more convenient, and it would make us more competitive as a country. And the estimates are today that if we pursued these avenues of digitalization, then we could add as much as $500 billion to $1 trillion annually to the economy before 2025. So it's not just about IT anymore, it is about every single sector of the economy and what we can do to them or with them or in them using these technologies.
Mr. Chandrashekar, thank you so much for speaking with us. Thank you.
Thank you.